If you can't get rid of the big gut, if you still have the man boobs, if you still have the back fat, the lower belly fat, the love handles, all of that, I'm going to show you the honest to God truth in this video of why you're not losing those right now. Because you're probably putting in effort, you're probably doing what most people are telling you is right, but you're not seeing the results that you've been told you should get. So I used to be over 300 pounds. On the left there, I was 320 pounds. On the right, I'm about 205 to 210 pounds. So I've lost over 100 pounds of body fat. I know what it's like to be where you're at, probably worse. And I'm going to show you the honest to God truth. So it's going to be 5 different things. So let's jump right into it. Number 1 is this is not easy, and that is honestly a good thing. Because you've probably tried to do a crazy huge calorie deficit for 5 days, then you go off the rails, you yo-yo diet, you binge, you restrict, you feel guilty, you feel shame, then you put yourself back on the diet. That's not how this works. Then you hear influencers saying, well, if you do these 2 things, losing the belly fat becomes effortless. It becomes effortless. It's so easy. They've never been where you're at. How many of them have actually been over 230 pounds? Realistically, right? They don't actually understand what it's like to wake up feeling like you got ran over by a freight train. That is part of the problem, is because it probably is really easy for them to lose that 10 to 15 pounds, all they had to lose to get shredded. They don't understand what it's like to wake up like you wake up. That's part of the problem. And they tell you that it's easy, and unfortunately, you believe them. And the thing is, like, if you've done this before and you think it should be easy to do it again, that's another problem because you probably down-regulated your metabolism. Meaning, you burn less calories now because you starved yourself, you cut carbs, you did endless cardio, you did all these fad diets and followed what the influencers told you to do. All it did was help you lose weight, but feel like shit and put on the weight about twice as easy as you did before you started doing that. In reality though, losing weight can be pretty difficult, especially if you're following bad advice, especially if you have no structured plan, especially if you keep thinking it's supposed to be easy. This is a personal development tool. Like, you are overweight, you're not where you want to be with the physique because your standards have let you get there. So people who have never had to lose a lot of weight and never have had bad labs affect that weight loss, like the effortless influencer who's never been in bad shape, they don't understand what it's truly like. So they're probably not lying when they say it's supposed to be easy. The thing is, they just don't understand. And losing weight, it can be done the wrong way. That is part of the problem, is each attempt you do with a terrible plan that damages your metabolism, lowers your metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories that you burn in a day, only makes the next harder because you're burning less calories and you have lower energy, you're more insulin resistant. All of these problems start stacking up, and that's why it feels like it's starting to become impossible and like there's no hope. And if you expect it to be easy, that will make it harder than you are ready for. If you expect this to be hard, it makes it easier than you are ready for. So adjust the frame that you're going into this and expect the worst and get meted with not the worst. Number 2, you're probably insulin resistant. Insulin, what its job is to transport sugar, which is just energy, into your cells. But the thing is, if you're insulin resistant, you're not fueling your cells as efficiently. The reason that matters is because if you're not fueling your cells, they're not going to use as much energy. The reason that matters is because if your cells use less energy, you burn less calories. Meaning, the food that you're eating is stored as fat instead of used as energy immediately. So this is now a double whammy because the food that you're eating is now being almost immediately stored as body fat because it has nowhere else to go. It can't go into your cells because you're insulin resistant, because insulin transports that blood sugar into your cells. So it's getting stored immediately as body fat. And then you're not burning as many calories as you should. Your metabolism is damaged because of your insulin resistance. So now you have more body fat and you're burning less calories. Then the problem just keeps getting worse because you're not taking the correct steps to actually start fixing this. So this is why Eat Less and Move More fails most people, is because it doesn't take into account metabolism. It assumes that you're in a very, very healthy state with your metabolism, and that's not true. 93% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy. That is why we have the obesity problem. So insulin resistance, crash dieting, keto, all of these are terrible for your metabolism. Not to mention just the standard American diet is terrible for that as well. Almost everything that you eat is directly damaging your health. And the problem with these diets is they restrict the amount of immediate energy you can use, which therefore means you feel fatigued, you have brain fog, low energy, you put on fat easier, and you have a harder time losing that fat. Number 3, you're not actually in a deficit. You have little handfuls of things here and there. Liquid calories you're not tracking. Liquid calories are not bad, just depends what you're eating there or drinking there. You have weekends with the guys that are going untracked. You're not thinking about that. You have portion creep. You think you're eating a certain amount of food. In reality, it's 1.3 times bigger than what you thought it was. All of these contribute to you eating more than you think and not losing the weight that you want to lose. So the fix here is not to cut harder and then cut down your meals, what you think you're eating. The true fix here is just be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, like, is this actually supporting the life that I want to live? Like the alcohol, the weekends with the guys, the little handfuls of snacks here and there just to give you a little dopamine boost. Is that actually getting you closer to your goals? I'm not saying don't go hang out with your guys on the weekend. Just be smart about it. You can have balance, but you do have to be smart about that balance. So logging food is just a means to learn nutrition. It's not the end all be all. You're not going to be logging for 6 straight years or until you're 65 years old, still logging into MyFitnessPal. But if you've never logged or you don't understand nutrition, you must log. That is the only way to learn nutrition the fastest way possible. So that gives you that accountability of, I didn't realize how much that little handful of had so many things in it. I didn't realize it had no nutritional value and had a ton of calories. What you'll start understanding is it's not just about calories, it's also about nutritional value. Is the food you're eating actually rich in micronutrients? Because that's what's really going to help you boost your metabolism, start producing more energy, fuel your body with the nutrients that it actually needs to perform, and allow you to start losing more weight than ever. So you really have to ask yourself at this point, what is harder, logging the food or living how you currently are? So if you log for 1 to 2 months correctly on an actual structured plan, you won't have to log again after that. You will learn nutrition. You will learn the skills. Because the thing is, being healthy, being at a lower weight, keeping it off long term is a skill, and you must practice that. You must invest in that skill. And I had an old football saying when I played college football from my coaches. It was always do it right, or if you do it right, you do it light. Meaning, if you are doing sprints and you don't touch the line, you're going to have to do it again. But if you just take the split second that it takes to reach a little bit further down and touch the line, you're only going to do one sprint. So it takes a little bit more effort from the front end, but on the back end, you're doing it so much lighter. This is the exact same thing with dieting. You think, oh, well, I really don't want to put all that effort into learning nutrition and learning how to be healthy and doing all of that, investing in my health. You're going to keep struggling. That's the honest to God truth. You're going to keep struggling because you're going to have to keep doing this process over and over and over and over again. And that's exactly where you're at right now. So if you do this thing right, you will do it light and it will be easier for you in the end. And you will wonder, why did I spend all of those years wasting time and money on that? Chronic dieting always leads to a slow metabolism. So years of yo-yo dieting makes fat gain easier and fat loss harder. Things like intermittent fasting, keto, crash diets, carnivore, all of these are bad for long-term vitality and metabolism because metabolism is primarily fueled by carbohydrates. So if you starve yourself, you're literally reducing the way that your metabolism functions. You're reducing the amount of energy you're giving to your metabolism. The thing is, when you're doing that, you're burning less calories, you're reducing your metabolic rate, and that makes fat gain easier on the rebound. Because say you lose 50 pounds doing keto, like that's awesome. Like I love that. But you've probably done some damage to your metabolism, and that's why it's so easy to put that weight on right as soon as you start eating carbs again. Because you never taught yourself how to actually process these carbs into immediate energy like you should. This is why we have the obesity problem. Nobody is metabolically healthy. Nobody's processing carbs like they should be, and that's why it always gets stored as fat for these people, and then they think the fix is to cut them out. That's not the fix. It's like putting a blindfold on when there's an intruder in your house. Sure, you can't see the intruder. There's still an intruder in your house. As soon as you take that blindfold off, oh shit, you still got the same problem. Metabolism is really just the currency of life. A high metabolism, a high metabolic rate means you're going to be feeling amazing. You're going to have energy. You're going to feel amazing at 4 to 6 p.m. You're not going to wake up feeling like shit every single day unless you slept terrible the night before. But when you have a low metabolic rate, when you have a low metabolism, you have low energy, you have fatigue, you have low libido, low motivation, stubborn belly fat that won't burn, that won't oxidize, and you have brain fog. I felt this exact thing. I lost my first 50 pounds by doing a crazy quick diet. Problem was, I felt literally all of these things. I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. I had low energy. I had fatigue. I had low libido in my 20s. I had brain fog. So essentially, life just really sucks when you've crashed your metabolism, and the only way you're going to figure that out is after you've done it. So you can get fast results without crash dieting, though. This is the thing. This is one of my recent clients. He started the 20th of July, and in 12 pounds, he lost 12 days. Now, the thing is, this is not a lot of fat being lost at all. This is a lot of inflammation. Because when you're metabolically unhealthy, you're carrying a lot of toxic visceral fat, you're carrying inflammation around your body, that can come off really quickly once you do start prioritizing eating the right foods at the right times during the day. It will just absolutely slide off of you, and you will see drastic weight drops like this. The thing is, this is not going to continue for a long term, but it is very, very possible to lose this amount of weight in a very quick time span once you do cut out some of the stuff that you're eating that doesn't actually support you. Or if you really like it, you just reduce it to 10% of your diet, and that becomes the most sustainable version of dieting ever. You can keep that on for the rest of your life. You're probably guessing. This is a big one. You're constantly overthinking about what your plan is actually doing. Am I doing this right? Maybe there's a better way. That's exactly what makes you inconsistent, because all that guessing takes up all of your mental bandwidth, which should be used for executing your actual plan. So you're always stuck in this research mode. You're always stuck in this analysis mode. You're never in action mode. This is why it feels so hard to be consistent, because you're not actually confident in what you're doing. And it feels like, oh, wow, okay, this is the right one for about 2 days. And then it stops. You spend the next 2 days after that overthinking a little bit. Then you start doing some research, and then you realize, well, this person says it's the exact wrong thing. So then you stop, and then you start a new thing. All of that extra researching is keeping you exactly where you are. And it feels like effort, but it's essentially just procrastination with extra steps. Nobody will guess their way into good health. This is the thing. It's no different than in your career. You're not going to guess your way to being senior management. Every move that you make has to be calculated. You think, I just need to be consistent, but that's not actually a fix. That gets fixed by stopping guessing, so you're actually clear in what your daily plan is. You know exactly what you're supposed to do on a daily basis to get you towards your results. That fixes inconsistency. Fixing metabolic issues at the root fixes inconsistency, because what leads to inconsistency? Feeling terrible, having brain fog, feeling low motivation, feeling like you have no mental clarity, feeling like you have low energy. All of that leads to inconsistency, and all of that stems from metabolic issues. Like I said earlier, 93% of Americans have metabolic dysfunction. This is the problem. And everybody, like all of the doctors, all of the medical system just says, well, take this medication and that'll fix it. It doesn't. It manages. Medications manage, lifestyle fixes. This is the thing. Everybody's sold that the quick fix is the medication, or you take this one magical insulin resistance reducing supplement. It's not going to fix it for you. It might help you manage, but you still have to do the legwork. There's no easy way around this. And like I said earlier, if you're going to take shortcuts, all you're doing is paying with time and energy and money on the back end. So if you do this right, you do it light. So be honest with yourself at this point. Is it really how I want to live my life? Is constantly going in this cycle of binging, restricting, new diet, new plan, is that really how you want to live your life? Or do you really want to solve this long term? That is an honest to God question. You have to have a conversation with yourself and genuinely spend some time thinking about that, because that will provide you some more motivation. If you realize this is not how I want to live, that will give you the kick in your ass to actually get up and start changing it. So if you do want some help with this, I do offer one-on-one coaching. The link for that is going to be in the description. We have all of the information is down there, like the deliverables, what you get, what it looks like, the pricing, all of that is in the description. Just click the link, check it out. I will say it's not going to be a good fit if you just want to have somebody tell you, hey, just eat less, or hey, just move a little bit more throughout the day and hold your hand like that. That's not what this is. This is me. I want to come in. I want to fix your chronic stress. I want to fix your sleep. We have protocols for everything. The gut health, the digestion might be an issue for you. I really want to fix your issues at its exact core. But if you're not ready for that life, because it is a little bit difficult to do that, If you're not ready to put in the effort and invest in yourself in that way, this is not going to be a good fit. If you just nodded your head with everything I said and was like, you might be on something, just go check it out and see if it's good for you. Peace.